Hi everybody and welcome back to week 5 of Discovery's Ups and Downs for season 3. I'm Seán Ferrick, thanks very much for coming back and joining us again, or if it's your first time here, you're very welcome. If it's your first time here, let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go through the episode, we're going to give everything that we liked an up, we're going to give everything that we didn't like a down. Clues in the name, so that's all fine. We're going through Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 5, Die Trying. Let's go! We get straight into it this week, and this is what we've been waiting for since Discovery arrived in the future. They're going to Starfleet headquarters. Now, as yet, we don't know where Starfleet headquarters is, what it comprises of, what it even looks like. We're sort of assuming that it's going to be on a planet. That's what we've seen before. It's always been on Earth, around San Francisco, around that beautiful, ageless Golden Gate Bridge. But that's not what we're getting this week, because Adira, thanks to the memories of Senatal, is able to give them the algorithm that they need to jump to Starfleet headquarters, which is kind of a big wibbly donut. So it's obviously cloaked, and that's cool. So Treaty of Algernon, that's gone. And it's, how would you describe it? It is sort of like a force field, sort of like a cloaking device, sort of like the interior of the Borg cube from Star Trek First Contact, where you've got that central column once you get through. Detmer again shows a little bit of anticipation about flying into something again. She's getting just a little bit sick of that this season. Who could blame her? But they pass through, and first up of the episode, we get to see new ships. We get to see 32nd century technology. We have one that reminds me very much of the Xindi reptilian ship from Enterprise. It has the long tail fins, if you like, that come out the back. We've got another one that's got detached nacelles. Best of luck, Eagle Moss. We have another one with holographic exteriors. We have one that, as Tilly refers to, as a floating rainforest. But of course, those are not the ships that we're all waiting to talk about. There's two ships straight away. One is a blink and you'll miss it one. It reminds me very much of the Axiom from Wall-E, and it's the USS Nog, which is of course a tribute to the late great Aaron Eisenberg. It was just lovely just to see him remembered like that 1,000 years in the future. And Nog, the first Ferengi in Starfleet, is still very much remembered. And that was nice. But you know what else was nice? NCC 74656 J. It is the USS Voyager. It is a descendant of Captain Janeway's ship. It is in fact confirmed as a 32nd century variant on the Intrepid class. You've got the dorsal section kind of reminds you somewhat of the saucer section for Voyager, but also mixed a little bit with Prometheus, that arrowhead shape. The fact that it's taken almost 1,000 years to get to J, for a second that stood out, because we know that in the 26th century, Enterprise had reached J. But when you think about it, that's not all that surprising. Ships named Enterprise tend to have a high mortality rate, whereas Voyager went through everything it went through in the Delta Quadrant and came home roughly without a scratch. So yeah, I've no problem believing that it took 10 generations or so to get to J when it comes to Voyager. This whole scene, absolutely stunning. Up. Second up of the episode is going straight to Oded Fehr, who is guest starring this week. Now, the eagle-eyed, it took me a second, but the eagle-eyed will remember him from the great Mummy films starring Brendan Fraser. There are no others since the 90s. He is brilliant as Admiral Vance because he acts exactly the way you would expect an admiral to act. If you've got a ship rock up from what they claim is the past, I'm not giving them the keys to the castle straight away. I don't know these people. I've got an entire Starfleet to worry about here and the security of the Federation. And these guys who are effectively driving up in a horse and cart, from my point of view, yeah, I'm not trusting them with anything. He's as warm as I think you would be in this situation. He, I think, is placated a little bit by the fact that the Tal symbiont has arrived with them. I think that went a good deal toward getting them in the door, to be honest. And he's not rude, but he's not exactly welcome my friends either. You know, Saru appreciates this, Burnham less so, but Burnham's always had a bit of a problem with the chain of command, and he talks to them straight. He says that they're going to go through debriefings, which they should, and then he says the thing that surprises them is that they're probably going to requisition Discovery and reassign the crew. Now, I think that sticks in everybody. Nobody really wants that. We've not seen that before in a Star Trek iteration, not a massive reassignment like that. So yeah, we're a little bit nervous because they are very much a part of Starfleet now. Starfleet has every right to reassign them if they want to. You know, they've not gone rogue. They're not going to do their own missions in the 32nd century that we know of. So they will have to submit to that chain of command. But before that, Admiral Vance, he was a very, very, very good example of what the Admiralty in the 32nd century would be like. Yep, for me, definitely an up. Now, having said that, he is involved in my first down of the episode. And a down is going to stop dragging out the burn. It's not interesting enough. Yes, this massive thing has happened between the past and the future. Starfleet, and in fact many of the other races in the galaxy, have been decimated by this, to use the Trills word from last week. Hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of lives have been lost. Yes, that is incredibly interesting. However, in the context of where they are in the show, that's like talking about the effect of the Crimean War on 2020. Look, I'm totally cool. I want to know what the burn is, but they are deliberately padding it out. And it's a little bit inconsistent. At the start, you have Admiral Vance saying we're not at liberty to discuss, and I'm fine with that. That's not an issue. But at the end of the episode, to skip to the end just a little bit, when he's talking to them again and they've earned his trust a little bit, he flips from we're not at liberty to discuss to and that's kind of it. You know, we have a few theories, and it's like, oh, okay, that was worth it. My concern, the reason this is a down for me this week, my concern is that this is going to be every flipping episode between now and the end of the season, and it's just not compelling enough. Give us another couple of mysteries. Where is Dr. Burnham? That's a mystery that's compelling, okay? That's something that I would really, really like to see. They're introducing this mystery of what does the lullaby mean? Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that. And the burn's not going to be enough. Hopefully next week, or potentially even the week after, we'll get a bit of a better answer as to what the burn is. But for the moment, it's getting it down, stop dragging it out, bold. The crew then is told that they're going to go through debriefing, which is absolutely right, they should be. We get some pretty funny scenes, but we also get one start of a scene. So, my good friend Chris, throw it down in there for the start of Georgiou's interrogation. She blinks the holograms off. No, sorry, that's a down from me. However, now, before anybody starts to think that I've really got it in for Georgiou this season, that is not the case, because, Chris, if you wouldn't mind terribly, throw an up in here for Georgiou and Kovich, but I'm not calling him Kovich anymore, I'm calling him his right name, it's David bloody Cronenberg. Sit there and have just a two-hander scene, and it is brilliant. He is totally deadpan. She absolutely points out the fact that, is he like the third person in all of Star Trek to wear glasses? Which is cool. He just says, they make me look smart. Brilliant. But the scene between them, it's very, very good, because it's very rare that we've seen anyone, when I say equal Georgiou, I mean that they exist. He's not afraid of her. He's not, kind of kowtowing to her, and really, you kind of get the impression from him that, take it or leave it, I don't really care, I could be somewhere else today. She tries initially to do the usual, I'm so bad, bahaha, look at me go, give me a scone. But he just deadpan answers each of her points with a fact about her universe, and he manages to get in what seems like a little bit of a dig, because it says her universe effectively started going to hell after she left, and she's very visibly bothered by this. There is a statement in this episode that people's weaknesses are other people, and this is where it starts to become a little bit obvious that Georgiou has weaknesses. She hides them very, very well. She hides them behind bravado, and she hides them behind that nonsense that we've seen. That's fine. But we know she cares for Burnham. Cronenberg quizzes her on it. She doesn't say it to him, but he knows. And even as he's able to give her a little bit of information as it goes, she's bothered by this. She's upset by this. Now, that final scene with Georgiou and Burnham stops her in the hallway, or more like she stopped herself in the hallway. It's very obvious that there's something on her mind. Now, it seems to me there was something more than just something on her mind. I mean, she was really out of it. But it could just be that she was off in her own different mental place. But finally, we are getting an actual story with Georgiou. Now, I've been burned by Discovery. I have a feeling that this might disappear for a couple of weeks, but I'm quietly optimistic. I would like to see this become a thing. So so far, this is an up from me. Now, speaking of these debriefings, we have, I think, the dream team of the week, which is Jet Reno, Sylvia Tilly, and Paul Stamets. Really, really like their banter together. But even before that, we have the great debriefing scenes. We have Reno, first thing she's doing is looking for food, but she gets the great line of, Burnham found me on the asteroid just after Captain Pike came as well. That was raining Starfleet officers, so let's talk snacks. Really good, really, really funny. Obviously, Tig Notaro, delighted to see her again. Great that she's back. Tilly starts talking about her time as Captain Killy, which is just great. I didn't love the Mirror Universe episodes, but I did really like her in those episodes. So great to see her again, just being fantastic. And I love Stamets' reaction to, so would you consider yourself essential personnel? He's effectively the warp core of Discovery. Yeah, pretty essential. But even a little bit later on, they're working under the supervision of Lieutenant Willa, as guest star Vanessa Jackson this week, who is starting to see what is going on this ship. Because, of course, all chain of command has really broken down between Stamets, Reno, and Tilly. They get the job done, but it's a very informal, well, duh is thrown out there, and other such statements. Willa is looking around going, okay, I'd probably be caned if I spoke to my superiors that way. And, she appreciates, this is a kind of a general warming of this quite cold character in the beginning, that, no, they get stuff done this way. Stamets says, we've just got used to it now. We're okay with how this works. To which Reno just goes, no, we're not. No. But I can tell you, I am. So Reno, Stamets, and Killy, Freudian slip. We'll come back to that one. But Reno, Stamets, and Tilly this week, up. The kind of featured, if you like, regular character who gets something to do, obviously, is Nhan this week. She is a Barzan, so she goes with Burnham and Culber over to the Tikov, which is the generational seed ship. They need to get an original sample of a very specific flower from, I really like this idea of this kind of, it's a museum and safe house of all the types of seeds in the Federation. Why it was parked outside an ion storm, who knows? They go over, and there is supposed to be a caretaker family of Barzans. Nhan is delighted to realise that in between the time that she left and the time that she's arrived, Barzan has joined the Federation. Also a little nod there. Saru is delighted to find out that Kaminar also joined the Federation. So this is good news. So she goes and she meets Dr. Attis. Even there's obviously a little bit of trying to figure out what's happened with him. There's been a pathogen. Unfortunately, his lovely family has been killed. He's been driven somewhat mad trying to save them. And so Nhan elects to stay behind. Now, Chris, I'm going to ask you to put it down there for that. Now, the reason I'm putting it down there for that, I've seen reaction to say, oh, it was so emotional. It was such a lovely moment. And it was emotional. But why are they getting rid of her so quickly? Now, I don't believe for one second that this is the last we'll see her. That's not my point. She's already becoming quite a good integral member of the Discovery crew. So to waylay her at this station, at this point in the series, it just seems a little bit out of the blue. And also, she keeps going on about Ariam's sacrifice and how she deserves to honour Ariam's sacrifice. And okay, they knew each other for about 20 seconds, but okay, listen, we all handle grief differently. it just came a little bit out of nowhere, out of the blue, that her drive to see her home is so much stronger than this duty that she's been talking about since the end of the second season. It was a little bit jarring. Now, happy to recant this if later on in the season turns out it was absolutely essential, and, you know, much like the Enterprise swooping in season 1, the planet Barzan sweeps in later on. Totally cool with that, that's fine. For now, it's a down, possibly, selfishly, it's because I'll miss her. So, please come back. Please. The whole reason that they have to go to the Tikov is they have to get this very specific seed from this very specific plant, from this very specific planet. And it's housed on this ship. Okay, great. And this ship is many, many light years away. Okay, yep, get there in Discovery. All of that, fine. However, I have an issue right at the very beginning. Okay? So, if all of Starfleet's fauna is being kept on this one ship, right? First of all, security risk, but second of all, would that not be catalogued? You know, the different breakdowns of all of these be stored in the Federation's database? And did we just lose replicators? Now, whatever, I'm okay with them not traveling to the ship, that's fine, that makes sense, but could they not replicate what they need, as we have seen many, many times in Star Trek before, replicating flowers? So that, to me, that was my first. I was on the fence a little bit about whether to up or down that one, but what pushes it into the down side is when they come back, and I want to be really, really clear that, in my opinion, Dr. Culber can do no wrong. Okay? It is frightening the lengths that I would go to prove that Dr. Culber is brilliant. However, from Starfleet's point of view, Dr. Culber is a medical practitioner from a millennium ago. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not letting anyone from the 11th century near me. Alright, nothing personal, but absolutely not. So to see him straight away being told, yeah, you have a medical license, that's totally fine, you can, you know, put this antidote into this refugee of the Keeley, that to me, it was a little bit too much. Does that sound like nitpicking? Maybe it's nitpicking, you know, especially because I love Culber. We all love Culber, but I love Culber more. But it's just that thing, they don't feel as out of time as I feel they should. Yes, the ships look great, totally fine with that, but even allowing for a regression after the burn, that's basic. Again, that's letting an 11th century doctor into a 21st century hospital. You just wouldn't do it. So that, and the fact that they've broken all their replicators and they've deleted all their files of flowers, the whole medical side of this episode gets a down from me. Now, I'm delighted to say that that's it for the downs. I have one more up to give, so up, and it's Saru. Again, maybe I'm beating a dead horse on this one when I say just how good Doug Jones is in this season, and eventually I will stop hero worshipping the guy. No, I won't. But, you know, as long as I keep getting away with it, I'm going to keep doing it. And he's so good in this episode. He keeps us cool. He is absolutely respective of the chain of command, a little more so than Burnham is. Of course, Burnham gets a little bit of allowance. She's been a year on her own not serving superiors, so she gets a little bit of allowance for that one. But he has to remind her, and in fact he says, this is a lesson that you of all people should have learned by now. And that's a really gentle way. It's having a dig, but it's also just reminding her of what she's been through, what they've all been through, and that they are here together. She makes a statement like, we can get our hands on, and he stops her and says, get our hands on? That's not what we do. That's not Starfleet. He is the most Starfleet of all of the officers that are really on show in this season so far. So once again, for me, Saru, massive up. He understands the stakes. He elects to stay behind, not because he doesn't want to go on the mission, but because he knows Starfleet are going to need collateral. They need trust. And at the end, he is able to convince Admiral Vance, let them have Discovery, not because it's our ship we want it, but it's because They want to prove themselves, but also they know how to operate this ship. And they can go and start getting to see the other worlds in the Federation, see how people really are. Saru is the perfect captain for what this season needs. He's the perfect foil for Burnham. Burnham is, you know, shaky, but still learning her learns. That sentence lost me. I really, really like it. Saru gets an up. I'm quietly optimistic again. So that's everything for this week. We are looking forward, of course, to next week. Again, please, my one request is don't drag out the burn, don't drag out the burn. But if you do, you do. And there's not an awful lot I can do about it now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to go over to Twitter and follow @TrekCulture. And you can also follow me @Seán Ferrick. You can catch both of those. Now, in the meantime, guys, remember, look after yourselves, stay safe, and as always, live long and prosper.